extraordinaire, the GMologist.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the GMologist Presents. I apologize in advance for the crappy quality of my sound. Everyone else sounds amazing, and sometimes I am garbled or max headroom sounding, so I have no idea why that happened. I used Discord to record everyone, and well, it mixed it up, and I don't know. It's weird. Stick to Zoom, I guess, says Carl in hindsight. But hey, it's a great conversation if you can get around the garbleness, and we get to talk about our ongoing Hyperboria game. And I always love getting perspective from the players, see how I'm doing, how things are going, and it's a great, fun time. And then we got to play. So yeah, it's really cool. Hope you enjoy. I'll talk to you guys soon. But anyway, we are here with my regular players of my Hyperborea Down and Out in Fort Thunder game. And we've been playing for over a year now, or actually, it probably has been a year because we've been about off for 6 weeks due to conventions and scheduling. So we really have been playing for technically 365 days if you take those 6 weeks off. And I wanted to kind of have a retrospective with the players. So they agreed to it. I'm very happy about that. Too bad if they didn't. And I'm going to ask them to introduce their characters first, and then we'll get into other questions. So, first, I'm going to have maybe probably the person who's played, well, I don't know. Yeah, he has played the longest. It's almost a toss up. But I'm going to ask BJ Boy to introduce their character, who they play, and maybe introduce your warband too, because you got a warband as well.
Yes, I do. Uh, I play Haller Audison. He's a Viking warlock who uh, was taken prisoner by Ixian. I guess they were pirates or slavers. But then the Amazons attacked their ship and freed us, and we're kind of stuck on their island here. Uh, anyway, Haller is as I said, he's a warlock, which in Hyperborea is primarily a fighter type. They have some magic user spells as well, but they're mostly geared towards fighting and frontline combat along with other fighter types. So Holler has as a any good Viking uh, decided to create his war band. Early on, he recruited a henchman named Isagoros, um, who is kind of it's mostly a pikeman. That's what he specialized with. And then we've also picked up a band of lizard men who are among one of the factions. And I think the hope is that eventually we're going to help them fight off their enemies. But for the time being, they're accompanying us as we explore the island and try to look for information and to uh, to meet all our various goals. So we've got two. Two lizard man warriors. So we've armed one with a pike, I believe, and then the other's a frontline fighter. So we have myself and one of them are frontline, and then Isagoros and the other one form a second rank. But we've also picked up a lizard man shaman who kind of serves as a secondary healer and uh, does mostly magic for us. But yeah, so Holler, my turn takes a little bit because I've got several characters to roll for when we get into combat. But that's what he's there for, to kind of you know anchor the warriors and take on the enemies head to head.
All right. And I guess the player with the second longest tenure is going to be Dark Fluid.
Yeah, so the character actually started out as one of the pre-gens at North Texas RPG Con and I just kept the name. Changed a few things, but kept the name. So he's a Zodus Pontos, which will probably be a familiar name to anyone who's used any of the Rogues Gallery pre-gens. But he's a Atlantean purloiner. Due to some various problems and ill fate in the past, he's had his family has been shuttled away and hidden, and he has come to the island to try and earn his way to get safety for his family back home with his earnings on the island. Over the course of our encounters, he's actually got a few followers. He started out as and still acts as porters, a half-blood picked Kufitos and picked Orida, and also a torchbearer, an Un, 013224663, who we affectionately refer to as Yimmy. But I still bring the porters around some. I no longer bring Yimmy out with me very often because I don't want to put him at risk. And taking the porters even into less arduous areas, because as things kind of turned out over time, Zodus took advantage of some particularly timely events in which he had very high favor with the Amazons, and then the sort of villagers that have in the village that's popped up around the fort in the lagoon, and due to some timely things, and he managed to whip up a local church and has a local following. So he mostly keeps Yimmy there to oversee the church, and while he's out doing things, and to make collections and keep things running. And more, it looks like if he can convince his porters to kind of do the same, that will be their job long term. And he's really kind of still adventures and gains things, but is eyeing towards more setting up that church and making that his main day-to-day income, and his lifeblood, so to speak. He's very early on, he discovered a shipwreck, and they uncovered some artifacts for there that's kind of been part and parcel of who he is. He's always dual wielding daggers. He's got he had it lent out actually to another character for a while, but he just got back his leather pirate's coat, which acts as some magical leather armor, and he's got a seal skin, which allows him essentially free action underwater. So he spends a lot of time underwater and has done a lot for the party underwater, whether it be diving shipwrecks or uncovering things, doing some combat under the water, since he can move so effectively and breathe under there. And has just almost by accident got a real buccaneer pirate theme going on. He also has a pirate hat, which allows him to walk on water when he wishes. So he's completely decked out in pirate gear. Oh, in addition to having a couple of wheel lock pistols, magical wheel lock pistols that he wields from time to time, mostly for effect these days. So
yeah, that's a good thing. One of the things I like about Hyperboria is that you can just throw those anachronisms in, right? Because it's a science, some kind of science fantasy, with sword and sorcery. All right, and then the other two players who are joining me today, I don't know when. I think they joined about the same time, honestly. So you guys can choose who wants to go first, and that's going to be.
Oh, go ahead.
I guess he's
go for it.
No, Lone joined the game before I did.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
After you.
Okay,
No,
I'm Tim. I'm playing Tonrar. You have to excuse me. I'm not just great at pronouncing all the things, but I'm an Eskimo, which was Eskimo. How do you pronounce the race in Hyperboria?
I think it's Eskimo.
I think that's pretty much how it's
pronounced.
It's just use this weird French-looking spelling, but I think it is, if you would say it Eskimo.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a small fishing village, and I was out in my kayak fishing, and a rogue wave sent me way out to sea. Well, I was lost out to sea, and just came across a iceberg. And this iceberg I clung to, and out there, I don't know if it was the cold or the lack of food and nourishment, but I got a vision, and my vision has gave me. Of the ashen worm. The Irkroth is my deity. I started following him. He's the deity of icebergs. He's associated with icebergs, so it kind of that iceberg saved my life. So the the appeal of him and iceberg led me to become an ice thief. So I use the ability of goodness. I think I just cut out there for a little bit. I use my abilities as a thief, and then I also have a cryomancer abilities. I'm a ledger mandalist, and over the course, I have found magic armor and a magic shield, and I was I was given luckily a very magical weapon. It was a gauntlet that shoots lasers, and because of my thieving ability, I was able to get another magazine to stock up on rounds for it. I don't know if they're actually rounds or charges, I guess you could say. Um, it's at first I was trying to fight everything, and then I realized that it's better just to have the lizard man come up and fight. So I'm kind of hanging out in the back and and enjoying the game, enjoying being part of this group that we finally started to know each other. We know our weaknesses and strengths, so it's really been fun.
Cool. And then finally, we got Joe.
Yep. I'm Joe Jungers. I play Aput the Skinner, also an Eskimo, but from a different tribe. He's more inland than coastal, who I don't think we ever established it as fact, but he ended up in this semi-tropical island, or on the island, due to some wandering. He's basically trying to find himself a little bit outside the center of the world. He's drifted out to the fringes, and he ended up on this Amazon isle. He is a cryomancer by training, I guess, or specialization, and he channels the boreal winds. What has he done since he's been here? He's learned to throw grenades to fairly good effect. He's delving into some strange mind gem right now that may or may not eat his mind at some point. But it's with the whole Cthulhu sort of skew that a lot of the deities seem to take here. Well, he's a follower of Athaqua, the Wendigo, so he's
There
sort
you
of
go.
doomed to go down that path at some point. I'm just having a lot of fun playing. I'm more used to the more regimented, structured game systems of Pathfinder and Starfinder and the like, and being able to get back to some old school gaming. It's just kind of refreshing. And I really like hanging out with this group of guys. They're great.
Cool. Yeah, it was cool. We all got to hang out together at North Texas RPG Con too, which is where this started. So originally, my conception was for like a West Marches Hyperboria campaign on this island. The premise being that the Amazons have set up an outpost because their city is like on the very edge of the world, and they wanted something a little closer to the big city of Cromarium. So they set out this outpost, and then they've raided and patrolled the area, and that's how, for example, BJ's character got here. But they've also called for adventurers to come, posted things in Cromarium and other cities to come and explore the interior of this island, hence down and out in Fort Thunder, since Fort Thunder is the main fort. And of course, it's expanded. The fort is still predominantly Amazonian. It has some stone buildings, a few temples, trade district, a place where the heroes have bought like a warehouse and made it into kind of a longhouse. And then there's a lagoon village that is, where people who don't want to necessarily be under the watchful eye of the Amazons and their proclivities and tendency to get into bar fights and hang out by the ocean, so on the lagoon. So so saying that, we've had a few. These are the players who've kind of stuck it out the longest. We've had some in and out players because it was a West Marches game. So I know Joe kind of talked about it a little bit, but why do you guys like Hyperborea, or what has attracted you to this campaign and kept it going for about a year? A lot of games don't last that long, that's for sure.
Well, I'd
I
love to
suppose with
get Eric.
Hyperborea. Okay.
Go ahead.
With the game system itself, I'm not going to say it's just one particular, like I like Hyperborea above all games, game systems. I like a lot of them, but I think that Hyperborea for me has become one of my favorites. For someone who plays a lot of AD&D First Edition and BX and things like that, I think that it strikes a really good balance for me for something that's crunchy like AD&D, has a lot of great options, but yet has been thought out, runs smoothly, and has a lot of character all of its own. I really like the world environment because you can run so many and play so many different types of adventures in it. Um, and I think that just the subsystems that it's worked out, I really like the way they work. They may not be my favorite in any one, but everything just really works well for the way that stats are used, the way the thief skills are used, the way all of the individual subclasses balance out and work with each other. The system itself is just a lot of fun and very flexible. Feels right for me.
Yeah, it actually works. In my experience recently too, it works with a big group. Uh, I mean, it's not always smooth with a giant group, but it works smooth enough to have a lot of fun at the table, I think. Yeah, anything about the campaign in particular, Dark Fluid?
Um, I think the campaign, it's a combination of things. I like the group of guys we're playing with. It's easy to play with them. As a Western Marches campaign, it's been really fun because if you do have to miss a week, most of the time it's been great. I mean, all of us I think have missed here and there, and there's been a good variety, and maybe that kind of lends itself to the Hyperborea world too. You're able to have a whole lot of different variety in what we're kind of exploring and doing, and it's allowed the characters to kind of take on a life of their own. Old school playing and kind of troop style or not troop style, but with followers and everything from building onto that. And at the same time, we've got like some underlying narratives going. We've got things, clues going all the way back to the first weeks we were playing that we still can go back and tap into and are on our list. Once we get around to them, and all that stuff's been kind of building, and we've had this kind of interactive live world that seems to move around us. Not just for what the characters have done, like my character starting his church and everything, but events that allowed that to happen and things that came back to us, kind of like the undead attack on the fort, the crabman attack, all that stuff. The world. So even though we're not picking up some of these strings, we're intending to go back to them. They're still happening around us, and events like that are happening based on things we did earlier and didn't go back and follow up on. So everything's progressing. It allows things you can really do lots of different things and still have more to mine. And it's like I said, it's kind of allowed a lot of things. We've been able to interact and build on the world, or at least that's the feeling I get.
Yeah, I think I have like what I liked, and what is my initial idea is that kind of BJ actually helped me work out this idea of a job board and rumors, and those kind of change, and you can see how they change. I love that you guys have I can, if I look back through your sort of the thunderous loot uh, handout that we have, I can look at the adventures and see what happened and what went on, and those are really good, kind of reminders of what happened. I think that's tremendous that you guys have kept track of that, and in a way, it's like a internal journal, but that's pretty cool. So, anyone
And you've
else?
allowed us to do a lot of stuff. That's been nice too. You haven't shut down things. Like kind of like when we found the shipwreck, when you're like, we had an opportunity for a massive salvage that's too big for us. You allowed us to spend some time cutting deals and doing some underground trade to set up a salvage operation on business on the side to make money off of it, while we were doing our other stuff. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's good role playing, and then the dice were in your favor as we made some. I use the game uses the 2d6 reaction roll. I think that's a really big part of kind of what directs the action. It's not like
the lizard men were supposed to be enemies, but we made a really good reaction roll and sort of kind of bartered with them just for kind of like, I think, traded food for like information, and then just sort of made allies. And
Yeah.
but I think one of the things I like about it is and it's clear from even the cover of the artwork or anything that the designer Jeff and the other people who work on the game will talk about was this is sword and sorcery pulp kind of science fantasy. This is Robert Howard, Clark Ashton Smith, H.P. Lovecraft, Fritz Lieber stuff. I think AD&D tried to be that, but it just came out of the box with this sort of Tolkien overlay that it's never been able to shake. I think even Gary Gygax was like, well, we have these sort of Tolkien-esque themes because it was popular at the time, but he was much more he much more enjoyed, like Conan. But I don't think I've ever actually seen D&D pull off, at least out of the box D&D, pull off that the way Hyperboria has, and it's built on the chassis of AD&D. So it's but I'm really impressed with the way they have shaped it. So it's the rules for D&D, more or less, but the classes and the options for building the characters are all specific to the setting and give rise to that feel of the play that we're playing like pulpy sword and sorcery heroes, not high fantasy heroes.
Right.
Even and even as powerful as we've gotten, I feel like we're still doing it in a way that Fafford and the Grey Mouser or Conan or Elric would be doing it, not not in the way Aragorn or Legolas or someone would be doing it.
Yeah. Joe, Tim, anything you want to add?
One of the things I really enjoy about Hyperborea now that I've gotten into it a bit, Carl tried dragging me into it about a year prior to that, and I just wasn't ready for it at the time. But now that I'm here and have done a little bit of reading, I really like the setting. Just having a strange little hexagonal flat Earth or, flat terrain hovering out on the fringe of Saturn, that it's obvious magic is making this thing work. It's not physics. It's pseudoscience or pseudo and super science, that sort of thing, and some magic thrown in too. But the big hexagonal world, the sun that just sort of comes up and hovers on the horizon and goes down and eventually just goes to total dark for a year and eventually cycles back around to constant light for a year. It's just it engages parts of my desire to play that I don't really get in other places.
Cool.
I agree that the setting, because there's always something new. There's this it kind of makes sense to the some of the monsters and stuff. Some of the monsters in AD&D, you're like, oh, they get kind of ridiculous, and there's so many of them. But the ones here, they just kind of seem to make sense, and it's fun to fight new stuff. And I like the mix of science fiction weaponry, like I said, the space travel and all that kind of stuff within this stuff. It makes for a neat a more vivid and expanding world. So it's really sparked my interest in it.
Cool.
And for some reason my stuff keeps going down. I don't understand it. So.
Oh, you're still here.
Well, Tim, even if you see it, your audio isn't cutting out, so that's good.
Yeah. All my video, I mean, everything just kind of the screens go dark, but
weird.
Okay.
This must be a North Texas thing.
Yeah.
It's all the helium. It's all the helium in the earth.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's Florida in the water. All right. All right. Okay, guys. Is anything else you have to add for that kind of question I threw at you? All right. If not, then what has been your favorite moment from this year, whether in game or out of game or both? fine too. No favorite.
I'll go ahead and
moments?
go first. Yeah, since I've been kind of going last, but I'll go first this time. Um, the it was the joy I got when I first got the lightning bolt spell. I was like, yes, and then having to figure out the parameters of when to use it. Like I said, doing the math of when it's going to come back at me and the angles and stuff. But my favorite time was when I was able just to fire it underwater, and it didn't have to worry about it coming back at me. It just basically Carl described it as just basically a fireball, and it just kind of exploded. So it did the effect I needed to without having to determine range and distance and the safety of myself and my party. So that was
No trigonometry involved.
Yeah. So that was it was a no brainer. It was easy. Just fire it and fry.
Boom.
So
yeah, that's pretty cool. And that's like a standard thing. If you look in the Gygaxium tome of the first edition Dungeon Master's Guide, it says, "Hey, if you put a lightning bolt underwater, it's like a fireball." So it's kind of cool that you can, and that's what's great I think about Hyperborea, is that you can still make rulings on it if there's something that's not totally delineated by the rules, but they have a lot of options and a lot of ways to fill in sort of those gaps anyway. But you can always go back to old school sensibilities and use rulings. And I've had a lot of fun with this game as kind of stories have also developed seemingly like random as well, which I think is really fun. So anyone else other than Tim, favorite moment in the game?
For me, it was I guess the final scenes of the exploration behind the waterfall. That it's that whole series was kind of nice.
Yeah, that weird creature, right?
Well, I think it was a serpent man of some sort.
Wait. You mean at the end
I'm
of
talking
the
about the guy down in the
dungeon? The dungeon. Okay.
Yeah, the guy down at the bottom of the dungeon, at the bottom of the mine.
Oh,
That was,
yeah.
ha ha! You've done this, you've done that, and I'm still going to escape because I'm turning myself into gas. And my cryomancer's looking at his spell list going, all I've got is dissipate gas. I wonder if it'll work. He's gone.
Yeah. I just kind of, that was also a cool ruling. I said, okay, well, I think it's maybe, I think it was like gust of wind or something like that, right? So,
yep.
And it's like, well, it's normally, if it was just a smoke cloud, then for sure it'd go away. But I said, okay, well, I'll just roll. He's got to make a will save to keep his tight gas cloud together. It's, intelligent, I guess, right? And
to maintain his cohesion.
There you go. Maintain his cohesion. And I failed the will save. I rolled in front of everyone, and that was a great victory. So that was really cool.
But I do kind of agree that other weirdie that we inadvertently set free from its time lock, and then it's apparently off wreaking havoc somewhere in Chromarium at this point. I'm still waiting for the consequences of that one to come back and bite us.
That should be interesting. Maybe that'll go to another question. All right, BJ and Dark Fluid. Any favorite moment that you can recall?
Well, Joe took mine. That was just hilarious. I mean, it's in a good way. It's one of those fun moments where I think some of the best moments in role playing is when you completely spoil the villain. Not that it's not in a way that's boring, but it's like, there was a very creative solution.
Yep.
Where
a unique way, right?
Yeah, a minor spell should have really been useless in that situation just had a very corner case application. It's fun to watch a villain or an enemy. He's posturing and he thinks he's got the better over him. This one little thing, and his whole world just collapses. But
or disperse.
I think there was been a couple times. I don't know if it's a distinct moment. But it's something that comes up every now and then, and that's when we can kind of the rogue or the thief types can kind of go up and look and see what's about to happen, and then we just lay an ambush for the enemy, and then again, because I'm playing a fighter type, that old school fighter that's supposed to have some henchmen and some, foot soldier, and it all comes together. And there's been a few times where like everybody rolled, you know, really high and all hit and did really big damage, and it's kind of a fun, I don't know, it's a little power fantasy that gets out just to watch it. I guess it's also the kind of the old football fan with me. I like a good football team where everybody's in place and they just kind of dismantle the other team. I think it's fun when we do that. But like
I call it the A-team moment.
A-team moment.
It's great when playing together.
Yeah, we've all kind of been playing together long enough that we've kind of got a sense of one another and what everybody can do, and we've got our kind of battle doctrine in place as a team.
Yep. All right. Dark food.
It's hard for me. There's a lot of cool moments. There's been a lot of cool moments. I think I think it was a lot of fun, the entire Crabman invasion sequence. Just so many narrative things came out of that I could picture going on in my head. That the after story that emerged was just fantastic. There were so many just moments within that, and that also led to my character at the end taking advantage of that, talking about the reaction roll, taking advantage of that to lead the whole village back for a celebration and recruit to start his church.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's been a lot of other great moments. I mean, business deals over ship salvaging, crabman battles we thought we had figured out and went completely wrong for us. The killing the rat demon was a lot. That whole sequence is fun, and even from the first game where we all woke up to the undead, there was a distinct lack of magical weapons, but we were all camping with armor off, and somebody picked up the +1 chainmail and was using it as a magical weapon to beat the white to death.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So,
I think he actually tossed
a lot of great moments.
I think he tossed it to the biggest person in the group, and that person beat it to death or something, right? Something like that.
Yeah. We've had a lot of great moments. I mean, I thought were a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's good.
It's called creative applications of violence and brutality.
Right.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, Carl, a lot of it's just come out of randomness. A lot of the storylines, a lot of the relationships with NPCs and stuff just came out of random happenings that popped up, and one of us as players took a turn with it and ran with it, and let's see what happens. And it ended up being something that's kind of become part of the history of the campaign and the and shaped the world.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some tools I use, right? So I think, right, I had like some locations, and then one location, when you guys found the first, like, sort of the Crabman salvage operation initially, and you kind of took them out, and then they kind of, there was that kind of triggered, like, okay, well, they're gonna retaliate, I think, at some point, because you stopped their salvage, you took like well, that hasn't even been pursued yet, really. Is that still in the basement? The reactor or whatever device from
still in the fort.
Yeah, still in the fort. But
along with the Crabman prisoner. We've taken a lot of prisoners too.
Yeah, he's probably dead. He's probably dead.
Yeah.
But especially after the invasion, if he was alive before, he's dead now. Maybe a drunk Amazon decided to see what they taste like after they cook them.
He wasn't very good to target anyway.
Bucket of butter.
Talking about her what?
She brought a bucket of butter with her.
Oh, right. Yes, there you go. Yeah, so one of the tools I do use is an Echo Resounding by Kevin Crawford, and that has, like, you can set up like little triggers, little events, and then I roll sort of a randomly. That's kind of what happened with the Cenote, the undead fight type of thing too. Is I rolled randomly, and if I roll a certain number, then the event is triggered. So, but I think that was, to me, I really enjoyed how that worked out. I think everyone really got involved in the Battle of the Lagoon, I thought that was really cool how that kind of worked out and played out. From Lone sniping people with it, swimming in the ocean and sniping people with his laser, and Joe fighting on the beach. Joe's character fighting on the beach. And BJ leading an attack on that last group of crabmen, and Dark Fluid almost dying underwater. I think that was pretty cool. That was fun. All right, it is a Wes Marches game, and I know we've gone for like about a year. Like I said, how do you think the game can improve? This might be a little tougher. Do not worry, I got thick skin.
I think I had mentioned before, and I can mention it here again. Sometimes we do have limited time to play, obviously, and I think we could probably do more. We play once every 2 weeks on average, and I think we could do more offline in between for some planning and character advancement things that would give us a little more time during game time to play. That's one suggestion I could make. Because obviously there is at times a lot of housekeeping, so to speak, that we could probably do via chat, or at least prep most of it via chat, and then get on and do any quick resolutions once we get set down. That could give us more time for exploration and play in the times we get together.
Yeah, I know something that and some other groups that do with West Marches is like, okay, like what is your plan? Like, kind of let me know what your plan is for this session, or what do you want to do, what do you want to explore, and then I guess, I mean, I think sometimes I think it's fun to be spontaneous, but like you said, maybe instead of moving through hexes, it might be fun to have a destination in mind sometimes too, right? So there could be some prep and stuff involved instead of just winging it, as it were. But sometimes winging it is fine, honestly. But yeah, I think it's a good idea. Get to do stuff in between time and maybe figure out what we want to do. But sometimes it's obvious. Like tonight, we'll finish a small dungeon, and when we were exploring those ruins behind the waterfall, that was kind of obvious too. But other times, it's probably a good idea to figure out where what we want to explore, especially if we're like hanging out in home base, and maybe some of the. I mean, I don't know. The RP stuff to me is fun, but do you think some of the RP stuff could be taken care of at that point too, Dark Fluid, or
Maybe. Although I do like doing, some of our fun moments have happened with role playing in the village. I wouldn't have been as many Amazon bar fights and things like that if we hadn't taken the time to play that play that out.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyone else? I'm writing this stuff down, by the way. Joe, you had something?
No, I'm pondering.
BJ? Tim?
I think it's probably been a while since we went to the village, so some little downtime breaks to do some of that, or yeah, I think that would be fun. I think it's not that we haven't done it; it's just probably just the way things have gone. It's been a while, so I'm kind of looking forward to doing some more of that as the campaign continues.
Some little mini missions around home.
I think gameplay's going well. I really enjoy the aspect of playing online. That's made it where we can just take a night off of activities and do this. To make the game better, I really don't know. Because I'm kind of limited on to what I've played before. So this is I miss the in-person experience, but the online game, I don't know if I don't want to add maybe that's just it. I don't know how to improve it. I mean, I've had fun, so I'm not complaining at all.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything that you guys can think of that hasn't worked well, or like a dud session?
Well, when we were limited, when there was a couple times we were limited on players, but we settled that, and we still had fun. We still were able to do a mission or two, so it was fun.
Yeah, I think we've gotten into some situations where we've spent a lot of time out in the wilderness before going back to town, as was alluded to, and that can hold up some things on what we're trying to do. But that also makes it a little bit more difficult if if players have to drop out or back in.
Mhm.
We've handled that some though because we've started kind of setting up a camp with it now that we have a ship.
Yeah, the ship helps, like a mobile base.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that helps because someone misses a session, they can drop out and go back to camp, so to speak.
Right.
I think that's an improvement we made along the way.
Mhm. Yeah, it's kind of an aspect of a West Marches game that I'm in occasionally, where the GM, he's basically, we have a home hex that we operate from, and his desire is that each session is to go and explore a new hex, or head out. And the further out you get from town, the tougher it gets. And
Yeah.
regardless of where you're at in your mission, at the end of the session, everybody falls back to town. And I can get that for from the viewpoint of wanting to have the door be open for anybody to drop in. But it makes you never really quite get that sense of completion.
Yeah,
So having, like you said, having the ship as a backup base makes things better, in my opinion.
yeah. And there's times when if you're not. Yeah, I think that is a conceit in West Marches, and I was a little strict about it early on, but after a while with regular players, I'm like, it doesn't have to be that way all the time. It doesn't have to be like a adamant, type of thing. And if people join, well, then they show up. We'll figure it out. It's got to be a little flexible. People's schedules
They were
things
down in the
change.
hole.
Yeah. The ship helps, like you guys said. How you guys are like at camp or with the horses or with the ship. So it's pretty cool. Okay. Well, last question. What do you see as the end game? Do you see an end game? Is there an end game in particular that you're interested in? Will this game ever end? I don't know.
Pote would like to get around to the far side of the island. Basically, there's a big mountain wall that kind of segregates the island in different sectors. And Fort Thunder is down on the southeast side. And there's basically a chain of mountains that goes up the northern coast and sort of bisects the island. And over on the other side, there's a number of well, it's a big jungle, but there's always these fires and smoke plumes and whatnot. And he's just kind of curious to see what the heck is going on over there. We've already seen some allusions to it by some of the prisoners we've released, to where there are apparently some Thracians that have things set up over there. But who knows? There might be other stuff too. Maybe more crab men. Maybe someone else. Maybe some Hyperboreans that might have some of the better science and that sort of thing. We'll just have to see.
Yeah, I think right now we're doing part of what my character is kind of for a long time, ever since we took that Thracian prisoner. There's been this rumor about the ruined temple on the mountain, and we're kind of in the middle of that right now, and then potentially returning artifacts from there to the caverns, which I'm taking. We've kind of seen hints of where we've got it. We know like one entrance to the caverns, which is the bottom of the mines, and then on that other side of the island where you're talking about has been something that's been weighing on us for a while to go check out. So I think that would be a particular milestone. And that might align time-wise with Zodas's temple being fully established and really rolling, which is a big one for him. I think once that's really going, and maybe after he's sanctified the cenote and some of these places, that's kind of a retirement gig for him.
Cool.
I mean, we're getting up
Sixth
there in level.
You're halfway.
So
About halfway.
That's getting close there.
Tim, BJ?
I think there's still a lot more to this island to explore, and I'm looking forward to that. But I think as my character, I think he's still got a kind of a longing or that he needs to know his purpose in life. I think he might need some type of a quest to be go on. So that's just something that I've been thinking about. Like I said, he probably pondered when he was alone on that iceberg. Why am I alive? I have to have a purpose. So that's still probably lingering on his mind.
Cool. I guess you get the last word in, BJ.
Oh, I think obviously we want to get to the named adventure site. But I think for Holler being a Viking, I think his obviously preferable to die in battle, but I don't think he's quite ready for that. I think there's also a kind of a maybe at some point a decision of does he go somewhere else? Does life take him somewhere else, or does he kind of, for the most part, settle in here? It's an island. You can always get on a ship and go other places and explore, but uh, I guess time will tell. It's like I'm kind of curious, if the Amazons will ever let uh, non-Amazonians really be part of what's going on here. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Well, cool. Well, is there anything else you guys want to add? If not, we'll wrap it up and get to some gaming.
I think I'm good.
Yeah, I'll just say, I mean, for as long as we've been playing it still feels pretty fresh. There's still a lot of things that, I'm want to do every week, and every week seems exciting and fun. We seem to have something exciting going on every week. And things that are keeping me interested. So I think that says something about the campaign as it's been going.
Well, great. Well, let's.
I guess I do have a closing after all.
Okay.
While we were at North Texas, I inadvertently ran into Jeff before the con, and once I found out who he was, I guess I kind of gushed in a fanboy way, and basically told him that at this point, Hyperboria is the game I will drop other games for. So
Nice.
that kind of gives you an idea of where Hyperborea ranks with me right now.
Well, great. All right. Well, thank you guys for taking the time, and I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and let's get to rolling some dice. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. This has been the GMologist Present. Hey, if you have any comments or you want to talk to the players or to me, comment on our ongoing campaign, that would be hella awesome. You can reach me at gmologist@gmail.com. Send me a word message or a voice message. You can DM me on various Discord platforms that I subscribe to, or you can send me an email you can send me a voice message, that is, via SpeakPipe. The link is in the show notes. My wife, Amy, does the cover clip art generally, but I think today is going to be the banner that I use on the Roll20 for Down and Out in Fort Thunder. Music by TJ. Thanks so much for listening. I'll talk to you guys soon.